how dare they increase the rent on the people who have rent? They've been there forever and they've got to pay, market rents. Like, that's crazy. Like, my grandma's paying $600 a month living in that apartment. She's been there since 1978 and she ain't going nowhere. And I get it. I don't want
I'm moving in there
the
when she dies.
Did you see the BC landlords who are able to get a ruling on a 23.5% rent increase over 2 years on their tenants because they've got increase into their variable rate payments?
I did see the headline, but I'll be honest. I saw the headline and I was like, I'll bet you when I read this, it's like not going to be anything close to the headline. It'll be some kind of
It's pretty
bullshit and
catchy
not.
because it's like, exorbitant increase. And so it makes everyone kind of think like, wow, like, this is crazy. But, above guideline rent increases that you can apply for, like, you can show that there's been a significant increase to your payments. Like, that's always been a thing, even in Ontario. And BC and Ontario's landlord tenant boards are pretty similar. So if you can come there and document it to the point where you can justify an above guideline increase, then there are people who do get them. I know people who've recently got things like 5%, 6%, things like that. When I say recently, I think like within the last couple of years.
5-6%. Yeah. Okay, so the baseline increase that you're allowed at the moment is 2.5%.
2.5%.
23%, TK.
Over 2 years.
How do you justify that? Like, your mortgage didn't go up that much, did it?
Why not? I bet you it did. Yeah.
Maybe it did.
I bet it did.
23%.
And these guys are bleeding, and they probably had really good lawyers.
Hold on, but raising the rent 23%.
We're taking this one to the board. There's some properties. Let's talk about that.
That's not your cost increase. That's your rent increase.
Darryl, let's talk about this because this is a very sensitive subject because there's two camps here. One is the people who say, how dare they increase the rent on the people who have rent? They've been there forever and they've got to pay, market rents. Like, that's crazy. Like, my grandma's paying $600 a month living in that apartment. She's been there since 1978 and she ain't going nowhere. And I get it. I don't want
I'm moving in there when she dies.
I don't want her to be out on the street. I want her to be safe and in a home that she can afford, but there is a certain amount of reasonableness that I think needs to be applied in a lot of situations. Like, maybe even a time limit on guideline rent increases. Like, maybe after 10 years, you can go to market rent. And then grandma would have adjusted a long time ago because in 88, 98, 2008, 2018, she would have adjusted.
She would have moved out a long time ago.
No, she would have found a way to make it work, But these people who stay, like, I sold a building one time that had a guy from 87. I know of a few places that have some like ridiculously low rent where you're just like, how is this even possible? But the people have been there long enough, And so, in my humble opinion, and no one likes this, anybody on the one side just like, screw you, realtor, you're just greedy and you just, you don't really care about the people. It's just like,
that's right.
I'm trying to find a way in order to be able to make more housing. And when you go and buy a building that's got a bunch of underperforming rents, okay, it's not a good investment. It doesn't make you want to invest in real estate. And when more money can go into real estate, more money can be invested into real estate, which means more money can be invested in housing, which means that there's going to be more people who have a place to live.
If you can raise the rent,
there will be a small section of people who are going to suffer because of that. And yes, it's probably the most like financially vulnerable. I get it.
TK, wouldn't it don't be run everybody? Wouldn't it be horrible, everybody will be affected
horrible
by
platform
that?
to be running on? No, it won't. No. It wouldn't be.
No. So hold on a sec. Was it like
the people in the mid to higher ranges would be able to experience over a lifetime lower rents because there's more available properties. But because we're hanging on to protect that guy who's paying $650 in that one bedroom apartment in Keelan 401, who's been there for 30 years, it's like we're actually creating an issue that's bigger than what everybody else is hoping for.
Counterintuitive.
Catch my drift.
Right? Yeah. Counterintuitive.
But anyways, that's my.
But are we talking about like one or two tenants in the building got a 23% increase, or the whole building across the board just got?
I think it was they each owned fourplexes, and it was one unit in each fourplex. I think that was.
Oh, for God's sakes! You see, that's what happens. Is you see the article. Everybody saw the article and thought, "Oh man, like that, you know, something's going on out in BC. They're getting to raise the rents. This is maybe fantastic. And then you
Well,
read the stupid thing,
but maybe
right?
one of those rents. So this is my point: is maybe there's a guy in that fourplex paying ridiculously low rent, and 23% on his $400 a month was only $80, right? So they were just like, "All right, Jim, you're paying $80 more a month
Yeah,
now, right?
right. 23%
Shut it."
more.
You know,
Oh, damn it, Vern, you
that kind of
got me
stuff, right?
again.
So, but that's my 2 cents on it. Is that I believe that rent control does hurt the overall population. I believe that the new rules, obviously, I don't have to talk about that. November 15th, 2018, any unit that's first occupied after that date doesn't have rent control, and I don't see people making a big stink about that. But the units that have been occupied prior to 2018, I think that there should be a limit on the rent control.
And they skew the rents for the whole city, right? Because when they take these averages, they're like averaging across a whole city where a whole bunch of them have, I guess is it manipulated low rents? Like, is rent control a manipulation of the market? I think so.
Absolutely. Control. The word control
Absolutely,
and
right?
manipulate are next to each
Like,
other,
what the hell is
right?
going on? Why do how does the building even make money still with the people with those low rents? And like,
Well,
you have to have a very certain mix for that to work. And one part of the mix is that you have zero debt on the thing, I would imagine,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. So these are the people that I
Owned
I
it
come across a
forever.
lot. Yeah, I come across a lot. They inherited the building from their
Mhm.
grandfather, their father,
Yeah.
and or they've owned it for 30 years themselves. So they've got no mortgage. They paid it off a long time ago. When you buy multifamily, the properties have to be cash flowing, otherwise you
Mhm.
won't get financing. So there's always going to be um, the debt's always going to be serviced. Obviously, there's always going to be cash flow. If you're not taking that cash flow out, people are paying down the mortgage. So at the end of the day, the mortgages get paid off, and all of a sudden now, you're kind of just like you're tired. You're like, do I really need to raise the rents? Do I really need to? Oh, I got to go deal with that person. So these buildings are grossly undermanaged, right? And so they don't really care because they don't have the pressure of financing making them do the things that they need to do. So it's always good when you're
Right.
selling these proproperties,
It's always the
is to
pressure
find
of renovation work that needs to be done that gets
part of
these
it,
things sold,
turning over
no?
units, renovating, getting the refinance. But that's why there's guys who've got that skill set, right? Who are able to go around and that they're able to reposition the asset to be what it's supposed to be, and they're really good at it. We've had guys like that on the show, and I think that there's a place for that. But the average person, they're not going to do those type of things when they paid off the building a long time ago. I got lots of those clients.
Like, comment, and subscribe if you got anything from one of these clips. And if you want to see some more, press something on the screen here. Boom.
That was good.
That was good. That was good. I like that. That was good.